Hello folks, so I'm just creating this video to give you some instructions on how you can access Knowledgehook, which is something that we're going to try and use for the next little while as a way for you to get a little bit of extra practice and for you to be able to get some assessment as well, to see in real time what things you need to correct and what are some skills you need more practice with. So what you'll need to do is first just go to joinkh.com. So if you type in joinkh.com, and you can see it's coming up easily for me because I've already typed it in before. So it's just joinkh.com. That's going to take you to a version of the Knowledgehook site that specifically is going to ask you for a class code, because it's similar to Google Classroom, where you just need to put in a class code and you'll be automatically added to our class so that I can assign you different missions, which are essentially going to be like little homework assignments. So our class code is HAM5247. So as soon as I hit enter, it's asking me to create an account, which really just means it's going to ask for a first name and a last initial. So that's really the main thing that we need to see. Just your first name and your last initial is fine. I can hit continue. Then it asks for just a password so you can get yourself back in later. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy. I'm just going to do KCI math. Please don't hack this account. Nice and simple. And then they want you just to select a little avatar as well, a little robot. I'll just pick the first guy there, and then you can hit join. Few things that it'll let you know when you first sign in. We're not going to get too into all of the different things that you can do with it in detail. Most important thing that I'd like to show you though is as soon as you sign in, you should already see two things assigned to you. And the two things that are assigned are called missions, as I mentioned before. And so missions are essentially like mini homework assignments, and they're all in a multiple choice format. So you'll go through and you'll try and answer the questions one by one. And what's nice about this is they also provide you with some other options instead of just telling you that it's right or wrong. So for now, I'm going to do the right triangles review first. So that's the one with just the basic SOHCAHTOA stuff that we learned even before March break. You can use that just as a sort of review of those materials. So if I click on that one and I go into it, then you'll see those numbers across the top, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, are the different stages of this little mission that you can work through. So if I just click on the first one, the number 1 with the 3 stars underneath it, I'm touching that one right now. You can't see it because I'm doing it on my touch screen, but it's now taking me into these learning goals. I can just hit continue after that. It's just going to remind me what sorts of things we're going to learn through these things, and then, hey, it actually gives me an example first. So it presents a question to me, and then it actually has a little video lesson that if you want to go through, it'll give you some explanation on how to solve this particular question. And hey, if you try it out and you don't find it helpful, you can let the developers know that you didn't find it that helpful. You can see that little question down below. And you can also just have it show the solution to you. So when we hit show solution, we can see that full written solution there anyways, if you don't want to go through the full video. If you don't need the example, or once you've already gone through it, you can just hit continue to question. And then, as I mentioned before, here's the multiple choice format that you'll see. It might look a little bit different depending on if you're doing it on a Chromebook or if you're doing it on a phone, but all of these same features should be there somewhere, even if they're in slightly different locations. So a couple things you might notice is just below the diagram and below the question, you'll see a few different things. Like, for example, there's a hint that you can click on. So when you click on hint, they're totally free, and they can give you some extra pointers on how to solve a question like this. Instead of just a hint, you could go back to that original example that we mentioned before and go through that in more detail. I'll continue back to the question. And hey, if you don't happen to have a calculator with you, they can even pull up a quick little calculator for you to use that even has the basic sine, cosine, tan functions and things that you might need if you don't happen to have yours with you. Then you can just hide it with the button at the bottom. So that should take you through all the basics that you need to know. After you've selected an answer, so if I want to find the opposite side to that PRQ, which is that angle theta that's listed down there, the opposite side would be 6. So I submit that, and hey, it gave me 1 star for getting the correct answer. I don't know why I'd want to retry it, but I guess you could even if you got it correct. If not, then you can continue and keep going on. So for this one, let's see if I can just intentionally get it wrong, and I'll show you what happens when you get it wrong. So which side is adjacent to MLN? Well, again, that's the one that's labeled with the theta. Well, the actual adjacent side is the 12, side LM. So let's say I pick another one. Let's say MN. That's the one that I'm going to select. What does it do? Well, it says not quite. We can try again. So from there, if you've gotten the not quite, try again, well, you can then use the hint in the example again to try again. Maybe I put none of these. Did we get it then? No. Well, it says keep trying. So what does that mean? Well, it means if we wanted to, we could continue and try the next question in the challenge, or if we want to focus on this same skill and get more practice with it, you can hit retry. And what it'll do is produce a very similar question, but with a little bit different numbers and maybe a slightly different diagram. So it's asking me the same thing. What's the adjacent side in this triangle based on the angle given? But the numbers are a bit different, so it gives me another chance, maybe after I've gone through a hint or an example. So you can keep going through, selecting answers as you go and using hints and examples as you need. When you finally get through all of the questions, you'll have completed that mission. After this one, there's a follow-up mission you can try to practice some of those newer skills that involve sine law and cosine law. As usual, keep in touch with me on through email or through Google Classroom if you need any support with this, and I'll try and explain things in more detail if needed.